welcome to Mr. Paul's Pantry. I'm Mr. Paul, and it's nice to see you all here again, especially new visitors. You're very, very warm welcome, and all my existing people see you returning again. Today has been a long time coming. It's exactly 8 months today, the very day, since I had a fall in this very kitchen, which broke my neck. And I've only just yesterday got rid of the neck brace. This is the very first video I'm making since then without the neck brace. It's going to be a short one because it's not quite right. I'm still having to put the brace on a little bit during the day when it starts aching a little. So it will be short and sweet. The video today it's been requested many times, I can tell you, many times. And it's for making a Yorkshire pudding. Now, Yorkshire puddings, if you make a good one, it really is a nice thing to eat. But there's many people make Yorkshire puddings and they're not traditional Yorkshire puddings. I've watched hundreds and hundreds of videos of so-called celebrity chefs, both on television and on YouTube, making so-called Yorkshire puddings. They haven't a clue. All they finish up with is a great big ball of something which looks like a giant profiterole. That's not a Yorkshire pudding, I can assure you. A Yorkshire pudding has to be raised at the sides, down in the middle, so you can fill it with gravy, etc. That's a Yorkshire pudding, not a ball of fluff. Some of the chefs seem to think the more it rises up, the better it is. That's not the case. Now, during my baking career, I've always maintained a traditional Yorkshire pudding couldn't be improved on. And I still maintain that. But what it can do, and I've proved this, I've been working on it all the time I've been incapacitated from making videos. I've been trying out new methods to make it foolproof. So you can make a Yorkshire pudding as good as I can. A perfect Yorkshire pudding. In fact, pies are my passion, number one passion. Pies, I call myself the pie king, all right? But Yorkshire puddings are my second passion. I think they are absolutely delightful. And just to explain, when I was growing up, Yorkshire puddings were always on a Sunday lunch, but never ever served on the plate with the meat and vegetables. They were always served as a starter with onion gravy, that's all. Pudding and onion gravy. The old saying was, eat more pudding, eat less meat. And that's when meat was very scarce, of course. And it's a joy to eat on its own, just with some beautiful homemade onion gravy. So, we're going to do it today. I'll show you how to do it. And if you follow my instructions and my recipe, you cannot fail. You will have excellent Yorkshire puddings first time ever. Let's do it. So, the ingredients first of all, but just before that, I want to tell you about making Yorkshire puddings. I made it a simple operation that's foolproof. You need one of these. You can make puddings in any shape of tin. I mean, once you can make them and get used to doing it, I make them in the roasting tin when I lift the meat out, a big one. That's normal, but when you're making it foolproof for somebody, you have a few rules you must follow. This is a proper Yorkshire pudding tin, which I have owned. I have several of them. I have owned for 47 years. It's made a lot of Yorkshire puddings. And what I'd like to remind all you Yorkshire people is, I was making Yorkshire puddings and selling them from my shop in Leeds before Auntie Betty was even invented. Okay? So this is a foolproof way. I'll guarantee you can make Yorkshire puddings first time, every time, perfect. Okay? So these are the ingredients. Very simple ingredients indeed. It's 100 grams. Oh, by the way, the recipe is underneath the video and on my website. You don't have to worry about writing them down at the moment, but I'll tell you anyway. 100 grams of plain flour. Do not use self-raising flour. That's fatal. 100 grams of plain flour. 2 large eggs. 150 millilitres or grams of liquid. Now I've got half and half water and milk. And the reason I use half and half water and milk is when it's cooking, the water evaporates, leaving nothing behind. If you use all milk, when the milk evaporates, the liquid in the milk, it leaves the milk solids behind. And that's what you don't want a lot of in your Yorkshire pudding. Okay, I'll just run through those quickly again. 100 grams of plain flour, 2 large eggs, 150 mils of half and half water and milk. That's total 150 mils or grams, I weigh mine, and a pinch of salt. That's it. Let's get on with it. Right, first of all, we'll put the flour in the bowl. The flour in the bowl. And the next thing we're going to add is some liquid. Now, I'm going to add a liquid a small amount at a time. Just a small amount of time until it's all absorbed. Now I want you to note I'm using a fork for this. I'm using a fork purposely. You can use these things, a whisk, a balloon whisk or an ordinary whisk. You can use these, but all these celebrity chefs that I've watched all tell you that you need to whisk it very hard to put a lot of air in the mixture so you've got a very light Yorkshire pudding. Well, I'm going to tell you something now. That's a lot of hooey. Because I'm using a fork just to prove you don't need to whisk it like that. But the liquid, when we finished with it, the batter, is too liquid to hold bubbles. Because when you rest it in the fridge like we're going to do, they'll all come to the top and burst. You'll have no bubbles left in the mixture when you come to put it in the oven. So that's a lot of hooey. So we mix this until it's all blended in. Then we're going to add the eggs. 1, 2, and a pinch of salt. And carry on with the fork. All we're doing is blending the ingredients together. We're not whisking it and making our arms ache or anything like that. We're just mixing it nice and gently. Now that'll take about 2 or 3 minutes to mix, so I will fast forward on this so you're not sat watching me do this for 2 or 3 minutes, but I can assure you I'm only using a fork. So there we are. You can see the consistency of that. It doesn't matter how much I whisk that and how many bubbles I put in it. When I put that in the fridge now, those bubbles will just come to the top and disappear. So it has nothing to do with how much you whisk it or beat the hell out of it, okay? That's the pudding batter. That's as simple as it is. Next, I need to put it in a jug. Put it in the jug. And that's going to go in the fridge now. So, we've got the tin. Remember what I said, you really need a tin like this to make it foolproof if you're not very good at making Yorkshire puddings. Okay? You can buy them online or in most cook shops, but as I said, I've had this a long time. And you need to put in, the fat I use beef dripping. Simply because whenever I roast a piece of beef, I keep the dripping and I use it for all sorts of things. I roast potatoes in it, I cook my sausages in it, and I use it for Yorkshire puddings, beef dripping. But people say, well, can I use oil? I'm going to use oil just to show you that, yes, you can use oil. You need about a tablespoon in each of these pudding tins. Now don't, for goodness sake, use olive oil, because olive oil doesn't like high heat. This is an ordinary vegetable oil. It's actually sunflower oil, and it doesn't mind the heat. So this is going to go in the oven now for 10 minutes until it's piping hot. Here we are then, piping hot. I would normally just pull the oven shelf out and pour these, but I can't start setting the camera up again down there, so I'm lifting it onto the table. So here we're going to put the pudding batter in each of these now. The fat's piping hot. Just a little more in that one. Now these are going to go back in the oven now for 20 minutes, and we're not going to open the door. So here we are 20 minutes later. Well, it was actually 23 minutes. I did time them very carefully. One thing I must remind you of, I forgot when I was making the video of shooting the bit of film, filling the batter. I do it so often, I never even thought to tell you. It needs about two tablespoonfuls of batter in that tin. About 2 tablespoonfuls, or just a little bit more. Remember, that's in this one of these tins. Okay? So don't overfill them. This is how the Yorkshire pudding should look. They should be deep-sided like that. The sides should come up. They should be down in the middle so you can fill it with gravy. And they should be nice and crispy around the edge. That's a very perfect Yorkshire pudding. Not a giant profiterole like the celebrity chefs produce for you. Now, that's all I have time for today. I'm going to sit and have a rest now. It's been a very stressful time without this neck brace for the first time. So I wish you all a very, very good luck with the Yorkshire puddings. I thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, do so, because when you subscribe, there'll be a little bell icon at the side. If you click that, YouTube will inform you every time I do a new video, and they will be on a more regular basis now, of course, than they have been. Also, if you have any comments, suggestions, or questions, put them underneath the video, right underneath. I do read every one. I can't promise to answer all of them, but I answer as many as I possibly can. And that's all I have time for. So it's Mr. Paul saying bye for now, and I'll see you next time. Bye.